It's Elizabeth Shannon from Loud in a Crowd, and I'm here with Victoria Ugarte, who has written the book Culture Savvy for Women. And we're just going to have a little discussion, is that all right, about the Australian section of this book, because I was in stitches.
Look, I am just so fond of Australia because it's my adopted country. Australia adopted us in 1976 from the Philippines, and it was a huge culture shock for us. I mean, my parents had been talking about this country for so long, and this land of milk and honey, and when we arrived, it took me quite a while to adjust.
Well, I mean, I didn't even realise, because when you're an Australian, and I'm very Aussie, and I used to live in the country, which has kind of given me even more Aussie permission to celebrate the open spaces and the accent, which I'll never change because I'm not inclined. But reading this, just the language and the whole, I was in stitches about taking the piss, which is something that we say. Which
all
is
the time.
Like, a part of our sense of humour is to actually, it's quite disrespectful, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is, but it's also, it is also, I think, what is most endearing about the culture.
Yeah.
At school, when I first arrived in year 10 at my new Sydney school, it was an all-girls school. The girls were giving me funny looks because, in the Philippines, and they speak in the manner of the Americans. In the Philippines, when you were angry with someone, you were pissed at someone.
Yeah.
I came to Australia and my friends thought I was an alcoholic because I would tell them I was pissed, and what I meant to say was I was angry or I was annoyed, but pissed in Australia actually means drunk.
Yes, it's
so
but taking the piss is a completely different
But taking the piss is a completely different thing again, which means, taking the mickey out of someone,
yes. Kind-heartedly.
Kind-heartedly, having a bit of fun with them.
Yeah, having a bit of fun, and that means absolutely nothing for anyone that's coming to Australia.
Yeah.
If people start joking with you, that might seem insulting.
Yes.
So, I mean, I get what you're talking about in here about the convicts, okay? So Australia was originally Aboriginal.
Yes.
For actually the oldest civilization in the world, which
that is correct.
Clearly stated in here.
That's
but
correct.
when white settlers arrived as total newbies in Australia, some of them, not all of them, because I'm sure that everyone thinks that we're all descended from convicts or whatever, and that, if you're not, is quite insulting to some people. But there's a disrespect and a tall poppy syndrome.
Very much, yeah. The tall poppy syndrome is alive and well in Australia, and that does stem from its days as a convict colony.
Yeah.
There was this disrespect and distrust for authority.
Yeah.
And that's where the concept of mateship was born. You needed to stick by your mates when they were in trouble, and don't dob them in, protect them.
Yeah.
And it served Australia and the Australians very, very well.
I think it did. And
it's given rise to its irreverent sense of humour. And in fact, you'll know when an Australian likes you when they actually start insulting you to your face. Or start making fun of you to your face, good-naturedly, of course.
Yeah.
But a lot of foreigners actually don't know what to do with this, because you would never do that to an American.
Look, reading this,
when you first met them.
I didn't even get it, I don't think, until I read this, and I thought, well, it was so
true,
funny.
Isn't it?
It's absolutely true.
It's very
With your
funny.
best mates, you will actually be quite rude to them, particularly blokes, I think.
Yes.
They're very happy to, and they laugh about themselves.
About
the
themselves,
swimming costumes called budgie smugglers.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is just pretty ridiculous.
Yes.
And the barbecue, which is an Australian cultural event, which is 6 guys out the back with women often in a separate group, and the
Yes.
guys are looking after the sausages and whatever on the barbecue. And
Yeah.
this is called culture in Australia.
Yeah.
In thongs, which is not the brief underpants,
Yeah.
but slip-slops or whatever the...
Flip-flops.
Flip-flops.
Yeah.
That other people... So I really loved
Yes.
the chapter on Australia. And,
Yes.
and it might be similar for other countries. Would it be that they...
No, in actual fact, no. There is, well, the first country I cover is Australia, alphabetically, and the last country I cover is actually the United States in this book.
Yeah.
And you'd think, both being Western cultures, that
Yeah.
there would be a lot of similarities. And yes, there are similarities, but there are also vast differences.
Yeah.